Yeah, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, hope I'm audible and you could see my screen. Online students, am I audible and you could see my screen? Yes or no? Everyone, right? Okay, nice, good. Okay, so welcome to the online full UI full stack training program. Hope everybody is for UI full stack only, right? Not mistakenly joined for other batches. Okay. So before starting with the topics, let me introduce myself. I'm Durga Prasad. I'm having around 13 years of IT experience. I'm currently working for one of the MNC in Hyderabad. This is just a part-time for me. I just take morning two batches of 7 to 8:30 and 8:30 to 10. These batches I'll be handling in Arish IT. And coming to my teaching profession, I mean, I'm doing this part-time job since like 8+ years of experience I have only in the teaching. So teaching is my passion. So that is the reason I'm into this and working with Naresh IT since long time. Okay. Apart from this UI full stack, I also handle all the technologies which is falling under the UI, including the Node.js, the server side, into the UI like Vue.js, React, Angular, full stack, anything which falls under the client side. I do have an idea of Spring Boot and core Java. I'm a Java certified too, but I'm interested in this UI field, so that is where I tune my career into this guy. Okay, so as I'm already working, I'll make sure whatever the topics which are related and what are the topics we are discussing, I'll make sure those are related to the real time. Okay, what is expected from the organizations, and you can always put me a question that how to get into the career or any other stuff which is related to the real time. Am I clear? Okay, so yes, guys. Before going with this training program, do you have any type of questions? I know this is very strange on the day one itself. I'm asking, do you have any questions? But yeah, I mean, do you have anything in your mind which says that, or like why the reason you're into the UI, anything which is related to these topics? Anyone? Offline, online, anyone? No questions? All offline students? Okay, online students. Yes. Okay, so I have passed BCA. Is there is any need of MCA? It is always good to have a PG before you going for any of the organization. So it is recommended. And coming to Shubham, UI development is highest paid. Obviously, this should be the very first question before you go into the course, right? Whether it is paid or not highest, then only you go for the course. Okay, so coming to this, I will take your question as how UI developer gets paid. Okay, I'll answer your question next. BTech 17, can I get job as UI developer? So there is no question of year gap and all, right? Or not only for the UI development, you go for any of the technology, there are still some loops or some, even though you have some gaps and all, there are some different ways you can fill the gaps and you can still go into the UI, not only UI, into any of the technologies. I mean, I see a lot of other students who say that, boss, I'm from 15 or 2015 or 14, due to some other dependency or personal or professional, I didn't had a, I got a gap, now I can fill it or not. You know, like still there are some organizations, guys. It is not like every company will say that, boss, you should have a 80% of academic, or you should be only 2020 pass out or 21 pass out. No, that is not the case. There are still some organizations, like example, you go for startups. When you go for the startups, people only look for the content, how much content you have, how much subject you have in the particular topic. They're not bothered much about the experience or so and so. So as a initial stage, I mean, whenever you're learning, if you got some gap and all, forget about this. Get some good experience with the content what we are learning in the class. So if you have really strong content, strong idea of the content what we are covering here, you have always, there are some gates. I cannot say that 100% all the gates are open for you, but at least 50% gates are open. You need to grab the jobs, because with my personal experience, I have seen people who are with non-IT background, who are having some gaps in the academics, everyone, they could able to crack it. And again, one thing I want to tell you, it is not that you will attend this class, you will get the jobs. Openly, no. It is that we are giving the content which is demanding in the market. You need to grab it and then you will be ready for the job. I'm not saying that, boss, you attend this class, you will get the jobs. I'm saying that 100% you put your attention, 100% if you grab the content, what is being discussed in the class, for sure there is an opportunity outside. Okay. Okay, one second. Anil is having a question. Provide real-time projects. Okay, let me say regarding the projects in class, how you're going to discuss in the projects. Next. Yes, please. Okay, shall I take your question as something called as what is the future of UI developer? Okay, that's what your question is. I'll answer that. Next, what is the best specialization after UI full stack? I want to know your opinion. Please tell me, sir. Sure, Malik, I'll do that. Your question is after this, maybe I take this as after this class or after this, yeah, after this class, after this course, what next? Okay, some people are saying too much crowd in UI. So should I start in 2021 with UI or going with something new technology like cloud arrays in science, etc.? Obviously, okay, I can say other than UI, any other option? Okay, I'll go with like this. Next, sir, I'm a civil stream. Can I learn this technology? Okay, what for different streams? Okay, you're coming from different streams. How you're going to handle this guy? Next, any other questions? I'm just framing the questions, guys. I'll answer them one by one. Any other questions? Online students, offline? Okay. Any questions? Okay. So before answering these questions, guys, I have something to be cleared out before you guys understand, because I say that the future of UI, how the payment is there, etc. and all. First of all, you need to understand what is actually UI. What do you mean by UI developer? And here we are offering something called as UI full stack developer. Okay. On the top, you need to know list of topics or technologies will be covered here. Yes, right. First of all, you need to understand what do you mean by UI, what are the roles and responsibilities of a UI developer, and what do you mean by UI full stack means, because what is the difference between a simple UI developer and a full stack developer? And you need to know what are the technologies we will be covering here. There are some lot of technologies we have. So let me list out what technologies will be covered in this class. Okay. On the top, then I will come back to the questions, whatever you have. Okay. Next, is it need to know any data science? Actually, it is not needed. We are not much working on the data. We only work on presenting the data, not processing the data here. Working professionals, or can I get recorded session of this? Okay, regarding the recordings. Okay, I'll answer that. Career growth for UI. Obviously, how UI developers paid, and I'll talk about the career at that time only. Next, any other questions? That's it. Okay, let me answer these questions first of all, guys. Can anyone tell me what is the definition of this UI? Full form of this UI? User interface. What do you mean by an interface, guys? Can I, when I say in an English, when I say something called as interface, what do you mean by an interface? Can I say that interface means something called as a mediator? Yes or no? Interface is something called as a mediator. Now I say that we are using English as a mediator here in order to communicate with you guys. Yes or no? Whatever my thoughts are there, I'm expressing through English. Through English, you are even getting back with the answers, isn't it? So anything which is acting as a mediator between the two objects, we call it as a interface. Now, what do you mean by user interface here? Now, whenever you go with something called, practical example, I go with something called Amazon. Ma'am, could you please close the door? Okay, I'm opening something called as Amazon.com here. Now, under Amazon, my expectation is I would like to see what are the laptops for Sony laptops, whatever it is. I want to search for something called as laptops. Now, I say something called laptops here. Okay, laptops under 30K. Now, when I click on this guy, I should able to see some laptop information here. You guys tell me this laptop information is my current system is holding these details. Do you think these laptop details are coming from my current machine? No. Then where it is coming from? Is it something where somewhere that Amazon server is sitting? From there, you're going to get this data? Yes or no? So these guy, I mean, from the web page, you're actually going to a particular Amazon server. From there, it is fetching the data. It is showing the data to you guys. Okay. In the same way, I go to something called as Google. Okay. Under Google, I'm going to search something called as some cricket. Okay. I'm searching for something. I'm getting some data like this. Do you see my current system is holding all this data? No. Implies again we are going to something called as Google server. From there it is fetching the data and it is showing the results back on the page. Okay. Now you tell me this Amazon.in is a web page. Google.com is a web page. Gmail.com is a web page. Flipkart, ABC, XYZ, any web pages, whatever you see, do you think web pages will hold the data? No. Web pages are simply the mediators. There are something called as some Google server, Amazon server, Flipkart server, ABC server. There are lots and lots of servers which are dedicatedly there. Our web pages are simply responsible for acting as a mediator between the end user and a particular server. Through this web page, I am putting the request. This request is being sent to the particular server. From there, you are getting the data. Through web page, you should be able to see the data. Now, can I say that this web page has a mediators? Yes, that is the reason every web page, whatever you make use of it, all the web pages are called as interfaces, which is also called as user interface, because end user is making the web page as a mediator to interact with the external systems. So one main thing as a UI developer you need to keep in your mind, guys, web pages will never ever hold the data. Okay, I open Amazon.com. Amazon.com is a web page which is not holding the data. When you put something, it will internally go to some particular server. From there, it is going to fetch. Web page is simply showing the data. That's it. Web page is like a mediator. Why so? You cannot directly go to Amazon server and you could you please close the door. You cannot directly go to the Amazon server. You cannot go to the Google server. You cannot go to the Gmail server. That is the reason those guys will show you, or they will provide you a web page, and through web page as a mediator, you are going to interact with any of the servers. That is the reason any web page, whatever you see, those are called as user interfaces, the mediators which are acting between the user and the particular server. So first thing you need to understand is web pages will never ever hold the data. Clear? Okay, next. Now, this is UI. Now, what do you mean by a UI developer? Okay, first of all, when you open this web page, I see some images, I see some content and all. In the same way, you go for Amazon, etc. So any web page you go, you should be able to see some. Could you please close the door? Any web page you see some information like images, content, controllers, etc. and all. Do you see, is it like some content is being shown, or at the background piece of code has been written? Do you guys agree that at the background piece of programming or some piece of code has been written? Yes or no? Any web page, whatever you see, every web page at the background piece of coding has been written. How do you see the code? Simply right click on any of the web page, any web page, doesn't matter whether it is local web page or global. Local in the sense what we develop, public in the sense which is already available within the internet. Now I go for Google, right click on this page. There is something called as view page source, which indicates what is the source code which is being written to get that output. You as an end user see this as an output, but the developer is writing this much of coding at the background. and this is what the result you see on the page. In the same way, go to Amazon, right click on the page, view page source. You should able to see some piece of coding. Okay, lot of coding, almost like how many lines of code? Almost like 24k lines of code, almost like 25k lines of code has been written to get these type of output. So any web page you go, Google, Flipkart, any page you go, right click on this. Say for example, there is something called as github.com. Right click on this, view page source. You should able to see the code of this. Okay, see this much of HTML, this much of CSS, coding, etc. All this piece of code has been written. Okay, now the time you have joined into this UI part, now the way you look into the web page has to completely change, guys. It is not simply some text, some image has been added, background piece of coding has been written, and now you see the type of output on the page. Now the question is, what are we learning in this training program? In this training program, I'm going to help you what technologies we wanted to write this piece of code so that you execute and you see the output as a web page. Okay, obviously we needed some of the technologies. What all the technologies, what all the frameworks which are needed in order to create such type of web page, in order to write these type of coding and all. Now you need to get expertise on all this, how this JavaScript has been written, how so and so technologies have been written. I'm going to help you in finding each and every technology which are needed to create such type of web page. Every other part. I can promise you that once you're done with this complete training program, you should be enough capable of creating such page like Google or Amazon pages also. Like if you're that, I want to create, you want to create this thing. Where is this? You want to create, come on. You want to create such type of web page where you have some products, you search some products and you could able to see that. So that what you will be, this is what you will be capable of doing once I'm done with this complete course. That at least I can promise here. Am I clear? So now the roles and responsibilities of a UI developer is, once you go into an organization, expectation from your side is you should know all the technologies which are responsible or capable of creating the web pages, and you should be enough capable of developing such type of web pages. That is what your roles and responsibilities. On the top, there is something called as UX also, guys. Ever heard about UX? Full form? User experience. So what do you mean by this UX here? You know that UI developer is responsible for developing the things. Now, what do you mean by user experience here? Let us take a practical example. Assume you are done with this complete course. Assume you know each and every technology to develop any of the web page. Super fine. On the top, I ask you guys, can you please create simulate of same like Amazon? Can you guys do that? I ask you guys, as it is like Amazon, can you please create a web page like Amazon? Can you guys create or not? Obviously yes, because you all know each and every technology what is needed. Then if I ask you guys to simulate it, you can create. Why so? You have already seen how Amazon is going to look like. You know how that web page is going to look like. On the top you have a search bar, at the bottom you have some products. When you give on the left side you have some categories. Every other information is already there. Could you please open the door once? Yeah, as you already seen how the Amazon is going to look like, then you have already an idea that how it looks like. Then you start developing it because you know the technology and you see how actually the web page is. Assume I have an example that assume I'm a businessman. Okay, I'm a businessman. I'm going to start a supermarket. Nowadays, you know that doesn't matter what business they are going to start, software company, supermarket, or a small school or an office, whatever it is. Everybody should have the web page. Web page is the first identity of a particular organization. So in fact, that is where actually our work also comes. The UI guys will be getting a lot of work because of this. Okay, fine. Now, as a businessman, I wanted a web page to be created for my supermarket. Now you guys tell me, as a businessman, do I have an idea of how to develop a web page? Yes or no? Obviously no. I'm a businessman. I want to put a business, but I don't know what the technology and all. Do I need to approach any of the software organization? I approach the software organization and I say them, boss, I need so-and-so web page. The very first person from the organization who interacts with the client is the UX guy, user experience guy. So what is his roles and responsibilities? He is a very much creative guy, responsible for designing the web pages. I'm not saying developing the web pages. It is designing the web pages. So what he will do, he will take all the input from the client. Okay, let us say, for example, I'm going for paint. Okay, I will take, assume like I'm the designer guy. Now what I will do here, I will take the input. I will take the input from the client saying that, okay, boss, what do you want to do? I'll say that, boss, I want to display all the items what I have in my supermarket. I want to display who all are working in my organization. I want to display like some online people could able to do some online ordering also. I want to show what is the quality and quantity what I'm having in my warehouse, etc. and all. Based on the requirements what I take from the client, I will create a mock-up of that web page. Okay, I'll say that, boss, you will have a header on the top. At the bottom, you will be having some main bar. And at the right side, you will be having the list of categories. At the right side, you will be having the list of products. And each and every product will be shown something like this. This is what the input I'll be giving as a designer. Now, in order to do this, do I need to know any of the technology here? Am I writing the piece of code or I'm designing the code? Designing the look and feel here. So being a user experience guy, my responsibility is not writing the code, just simply design the pages so that client will get an idea how it is going to look like in future. Okay, now if you close your eyes and I ask you, boss, how Amazon looks like, you know that because you already saw that. But if I ask you that, boss, imagine how supermarket web page is going to look like. No, you haven't seen. You know what color combination need to be used, what images need to be used, what icon need to be used. You never know that, isn't it? So that is where designer is going to help you. Designer is going to provide you a complete look and feel. On the top, he will show you that, okay, this is how the web page is going to look like. Now, as a businessman, now I'll say that, no, boss, do some changes, put the logo here. Yes, please. Yes. Okay, so as a designer guy, I'm going, after the designer gives me the mock-up, as a businessman, I will ask some changes. Boss, this color combination, this font, etc. and all. Once the look and feel is ready, okay, now the businessman says that, okay, super fine. This is what I wanted. This is how the web page has to be. Then the developer is going to come into the picture. UI developer will never ever come into the picture when there are discussions happening with the client, because developer is not having so much creativity. Okay, openly speaking, developer not expected to have the creativity also. If you have it, that is super fine. Now, if I ask you a question, why creativity is needed, guys? The reason for creativity is whenever you are developing a web page, okay, take a practical example of Amazon, Google, Gmail. Have you ever went to any training for understanding how Amazon has to work or Gmail has to work or how it is working or how to use? Have you ever been to training? No, right? It is self-learning. How come? This is an e-commerce application which is responsible for doing some shopping and searching the items. That is how they have designed the web page. The reason why search bar is always highlighted in any of the online shopping application, because everyone is here to search some products and get the details. If I remove the search box and place at the bottom, do you have a good user experience? No. Do you have the color theme? It is not reflecting your eyes. It is not like clumsy. It is not like you would have seen some of the pages. You're reading something, but in between some ads will come. You know, I mean, it is like it will take some time to understand where actually what it is, isn't it? But when you go for your Gmail, compose a mail on the top, new, read the mail, left side you have category. It is like very easy navigation what you have. Any web pages what you develop, it has to be in such a way that user friendly, self-learning things has to come. But yes, there are some web pages where you need a training also. Example, you go to your banking. Whenever you go to direct banking, they will take your amount, they do some operations. If you ever get a chance, see their system. That system is also one of the web application only. That is again web application. Earlier, it used to be standalone applications. Standalone applications are applications which run within the operating system. Like Chrome browser itself is a standalone application. But nowadays, what they are doing for easy maintenance, and the problem what you have with your standalone application is, assume there is an app like Chrome browser is been installed. Okay, there is some issue with this. Say for example, I'm a developer standing somewhere. Now say for example, he is the user of my app, some Chrome. Now he says that boss, it's not working. Sitting somewhere, can I fix his issue? No, because it is a standalone application. I have to come here to his system. I need to fix that issue. That is how it works. Assume I'm opening Amazon.com. There is some issue. I'm a developer standing somewhere. Can I fix there and he will see the reflection? Yes, this is what the advantages you have with the web pages. Whenever you see the web pages are getting executed within the browser, only browser, not within the operating system. I don't have any dependency with the operating system. I'm not getting installed. On fly, I'm getting executed. So when you go into your banking or examples, best example is banking. When you go for the banking, it's a very, very big application, web page only. They do the login, logout, every other thing happens on the web page. But in a single web page, they have thousands and millions of operations. That is the reason they undergo a training. Now, when I say that I'm a customer facing employee in SBI, assume. Now you will be sent to a training. In the training, they will tell that this is how open web page. If the user is wanted some withdrawal, this is the option. So you need to have the training over there. But coming to such type of web pages like Amazon, Google, so and so, these are also big web pages. These are also having some content, but no need to go for training. Those are self-learning. Okay, everything whatever you see, it's been added. Now when I say I have added an item on the cart, you could able to see on the right top or here itself. Yes. Now if I move the cart into something at the bottom, not a good user friendly. This is where the creativity of the designer will come into the picture. How the logo is there, how impressive it is, what color combination they have placed, whether it is user friendly or not. This is all the roles and responsibilities of a designer guy. Designer is going to work on all this. Being a UI developer, you are never bothered. When the UI developer will come, once the designer will give you the mock-up, this guy, we call it as a mock-up or PSD files, we call it as. Okay, these are simple images which gives you how the web page is going to look like. But can I operate on this guy? No, because it's an image. Now the developer has to take this guy. Now you write the piece of each and every code. Then you need to convert that guy as a working web page. That is what the roles and responsibilities of a UI developer. Am I clear till here? Everyone? Any questions? What is the difference between UI developer and UX designer guy? Guys, I will answer all your questions, but at least online student, I see some questions you have, but are you guys yes or no clear with the things what we discussed till now? Am I audible to the online students? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, nice. Now, coming back to the next step. Now you understand what do you mean by UI developer. Now, let us talk something called as what is full stack developer. This is a very big black hole question. A lot of people is having a question. What do you mean by full stack? Everywhere you say, people say that Java full stack, .NET full stack, UI full stack. What do you mean by this full stack? Any idea? Front end and back end. Awesome. That's good. You have an idea of it. Okay, let me talk about this. Assume, as I said you, for example, this is what your Amazon.com or some gmail.com or some Flipkart.com. Okay, assume there are some web pages, or in future we will develop something called as abc.com, something like this. On the top, you will be having an Amazon server or Google servers, etc. Right? It could be something called as Amazon server or Google server. Lot of servers are there. Okay. Okay. Now, what is our expectation? Whenever you hit Amazon.com, it actually goes to the Amazon server. I mean, whenever you hit from the UI. So these guy, we call it as a UI or front end. Okay. These guy, we call it as a server or backend. Come on. Okay. Internally, there is a chance that these guy will even interact with the DB or the file system. Right now, I'm simply saying it as a DB database. Okay, this is what the flow happens, guys. Broader picture, I'm saying internally, lot of what do you say? Clustering concepts, lot of load balancer, hell lot of stuffs are there internally. But on a broader picture, UI guy, the web page guy interacts with the server, server interacts with the DB. From the DB, they will get the data. They are going to throw it to the UI. This is what a general look and feel happens. Now, let us see what are the technologies we would like. It is needed in your front end. In your UI or front end, what technologies will be needed? We will be needing some HTML, CSS, JavaScript, say something called as some jQuery. There is something called as Bootstrap. There is something called as React library or Angular framework. Okay. There is something called as HTML5 and CSS3. Hell lot of technologies. Okay. There is something called as Vue.js. Okay, a lot of things are there. Hell lot of things are there. This comes under the UI. Coming to the server, I can say it could be a Java server. It could be a .NET server. It could be a Node.js server, or hell lot of servers are there. Lot of servers. When I come to the DB, there could be something called as Oracle, MySQL, okay, or something called as MongoDB, etc. A lot of DBs are there. Now, what I'm saying is, when I say that UI frontend is interacting with the server, it is not mandatory that UI should only work with the Angular, UI should only work with the jQuery, UI should only with the React. It's up to them. I'm saying optional those are. Okay, any of the technology you use, those guy will interact with the server to any of the server. Either it could be a Java server, .NET server, so-and-so server. That guy will interact with any of the database, Oracle, SQL, MySQL server, MongoDB, Access, hell lot of server database are there. But this is what the process which happens. Super fine. Now, when I say that I am a UI developer, your responsibility will only fall under the first box. When I say that I'm a UI developer, my responsibility is never ever know what is a server. Never ever know what do you mean by database. Never ever know how you are going to interact with the, how the web services will be created in the server. No, I never know that. My only responsibility is interact with the server, getting the data. How do you display the data? That is what we are concentrated on. You may use Angular, you may go for React. The reason why I'm showing you these guys is because in future, once you go for Angular or React, you'll understand that, okay, React JS or Angular JS or Vue JS or jQuery, those all into the client side, not into the server side. And when I say I am a server guy, these two will fall. The second box will fall under the server side. The developer who works on this guy is called as front end developer. The guy who works on both server side and back end is called as back end developer. Okay. Any developer. Now, when I say I'm a .NET guy, can I call it as a full Java developer? Sorry, I'm a .NET guy. Can I call myself as a back end developer? Yes. Can I'm working on MongoDB. I will be called as a backend developer. Yes, you work with Node.js and MongoDB. Yes, I will be called as a backend developer. Now, anytime if you say that someone of your relatives or friends who says that I'm working as a backend developer, so you have to get a clear picture in your mind saying that, okay, he might be working on one of the server, any of the server. Now, if he clearly says that I'm working as a backend with Java server or Java backend developer. Now you know which server he is using, Java server. Okay, I say .NET backend developer, .NET server. I say Node.js backend developer, Node.js as a server. So it's all depends upon type of server what you go, but any server you use, you will be called as a backend developer. Now, who is called as full stack developer? Guy who works on both front end developer and the backend development, we call it as a full stack developer. A guy who will handle the UI, guy who will handle the interaction with the server, guy who will develop the web services inside the server, guy who will interact with the database, get the data, again show it to UI, head to the tail, everything will be covered with the full stack developer. Okay, nowadays there is too much of demand only for the full stack developers, guys. When I started my career, it's around like 2007 I started my career. So at that time it was so clearly mentioned, it was so clearly differentiated, not even 2007 until like 2015 or 14 also. There is specifically that UI team, there is specifically that backend team, specifically that DB team. There used to be a specific team. The time this Node.js has come into the picture, things has completely changed, guys. The reason is now I give a good training for you guys that into the UI, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, etc. and all. Now, if I ask you, please go and develop the web services using Java Spring Boot. Is it as easy for you guys? No. Why so? You need to again start with the core Java. Isn't it? You need to understand all the OOPS concept. Now you need to go to the J2EE. Then you need to go with the Spring framework. Then go with the Spring Boot, etc. and all. Hell lot of stuff which will take another year for you to get expertise into. Now, being a UI developer, do you think it is easy to become a full stack developer also? Can I go to the server side? If I say that not Java, go with .NET. Now what I need to do? Again, go with the C# programming. It's a complete different technology here. So how easy for me as a UI developer to jump into the backend part? That is where Node.js is helping us. Node.js is one of the very trending server nowadays. Almost 70% of the servers are being used throughout the world are being using Node.js. It's a too much completely game-changing one. Okay, why the reason it is called as game-changing? Being a UI developer, if I ask you guys, do the server side using Java, that's a big question mark for you. If I ask you guys, do the server side also using JavaScript, is it not simple for you? Because anyway, in the UI development, we will learn all the core JavaScript and advanced JavaScript concepts. Now, if I ask you guys to use the same language even at the server side, is it not helpful for you? Yes or no? Obviously, that is where you can easily become a full stack developer. That is the reason in our training, we are going to become a full stack developer with all the UI technologies, with the Node.js and with the MongoDB. Any UI library or a framework, any server with any DB is called as a full stack developer. Now you will become a full stack developer with list of all the UI technologies along with Node.js as a server, along with MongoDB as a database. That is how we are going to be called as a UI full stack developers. Any questions? Is it clear difference between UI server side and the backend? Yes, please. Framework and library difference, I will note it down. I will take it as a separate part. Okay, difference. Okay, yeah, one more thing, guys. Now, under this UI part, what are we discussing or what are we going to cover? Let me list out the technologies. Okay, anyway, I will answer your questions. But first of all, let me list out what technologies we are going to cover in this complete training program. Okay, this program is actually two parts, guys. One is UI full stack development program. Second thing is UI full stack development with framework. Two parts we have divided into. Okay, two types we have divided into. One is only simple UI full stack development. Second thing is UI full stack with framework. So what is the difference here? When I say UI full stack development, the list of technologies what we will be covering are UI, not the UI. We'll start with HTML. We will cover CSS. We will cover JavaScript and advanced JavaScript also. Okay, and we cover ECMA 6. Ever heard about ECMA 6? ECMA? Okay, it's a standard. We'll talk about that. And you wouldn't have heard about something called as advanced JavaScript also. You would have heard about just simple JavaScript. But even in JavaScript, there is a concept of object orientation. How do we create classes, implementing closures, implementing exception handling as like other object-oriented programming language. And one main thing is JavaScript also supports OOPS concepts. Okay, those all topics we'll be discussing here. We will be covering what I mean by jQuery. I know jQuery library is not used much in nowadays in the market, but it is good to have an idea. Just a brief idea. I mean, it's just an add-on I'm giving you so that in future someone talks about jQuery, you should not say I don't know. Just to get a good idea, what is the use of this jQuery, how to implement the DOM operations, etc. things we'll discuss. Under this, we are going to cover the Ajax. We are going to cover the JSON part. We are going to cover the XML. We are going to cover the DHTML concepts, etc. things will be covered. Later, we are going to talk about the HTML5. We'll talk about the CSS3. We'll talk about under CSS3, including media queries for what is this? Okay. Responsive pages. Okay, we see Bootstrap 5, the latest one. Okay, on the top we see, yeah, this is about the front end part what we see. Under this, the server side is, guys, if you want to talk to me, not between you. Okay, we are going to talk about the Node.js. We are going to talk about Express framework, and we are going to talk about, okay, this is your server side, and the database what we talk about is MongoDB. This is what your UI full stack is. Along with this, there are some tools we will be covering. Okay, the tools what I will be discussing is, we are covering the GitHub completely. How do you push the code? How do you pull the code? How do you maintain the revision? Etc. things I'm going to talk in the GitHub. We are going to talk about the debugger tool. Okay, how do you actually debug your HTML, CSS or JavaScript code along with server-side coding also. And we are going to talk about the GitHub desktop. What is an interface through which you actually push and submit the code, etc. and all those things we discuss. And we discuss about the Mongo Compass. Okay, this is a tool which is used to easily interact with the MongoDB, putting the queries, etc. things and all I will be covering. So these are the tools. This is the database. This is the server side, and these are the client side technologies. This is falling under the UI full stack development. On the top, you say that no boss, I even want to have development with framework. In fact, I recommend this because without framework is something like, even though we are done with this complete UI, it is almost like 80% only. Always that 20% plays a lot of big role here. Okay, so what is this framework? Whatever the technologies and the tools I have discussed, right? All above technologies plus a framework. Framework or library. What is this framework or library? You can choose. Either you can go with an Angular or you can go with a React JS. It's up to you which one you choose here. Okay, whenever you are getting registered with the course, please be clear. Boss, either you are only going with the UI full stack development or you are going with the UI full stack development with a framework. Only difference is, I'm just telling you the price range also. This is for 5K and this is for 10K, but as you are opting for both, they might be giving for 9.5. Oh, okay. This is, and again, on the top regarding the discounts or whatever it is, you can talk to the management. This is what the information you have. Or else if you say that, no boss, first of all, I'll go with the UI full stack. Let me get expertise on what is actually UI, how to develop the web pages, etc. and all. Then I will be going with the frameworks. It's up to you. So you can choose the one, whatever you wanted. But when you're getting registered, please be clear to them. Okay. One thing I can promise you guys is whatever the technologies I'm going to discuss in the class, either it is HTML or the CSS or the JavaScript, my intention over here is things, I mean, it is not only for the experienced guy or for the freshers. I will make sure people who are even from external or a different background, because I have a previous experience that my batch student, like if you go for 7 a.m., there are people who are from civil engineering background. There are people who are from management, MBA they have done, but they are interested with UI development. They have jumped over here. I'll make sure things will be clear even for them. Whatever the things I'm going to talk, everything from the very scratch, I'm going to start from, and I'm going to close till end, advanced level. Anytime you can say that, I say that I'm done with JavaScript. You can always put a question, boss, this topic you haven't covered, I'm going to cover that guy. I'll make sure I don't give a chance for you guys to put a question back to me, but mistakenly if I miss something, you can always say that. Either it is a Node.js server or it is an Express framework. Express framework, anyway, it is already part of Node.js only. We are going to talk. And under this server, lot of topics, guys. I'm not adding each and every topic. I don't want to list out, but just want to say, we will be talking about the clustering. Okay, we will be talking about the web services. How do you create web service? Ever heard about web services? So I'll show you how to create web services in your Node.js, how to interact Node.js. This complete communication I'll show you. How UI will go to the server. In server, how do you develop web service? How the server is interacting with the MongoDB, interaction with the cross softwares. Node is a different software and DB is a different software. We'll see how do we communicate. That is what I said. You will able to see these type of web page. We create a web page. Once you hit something, it will hit a web service. Web service will go to the database. Data will be coming and that will be shown. So this complete scenario will be covered here. Along with, there is something called as sessions. How do you maintain the sessions? There is something called a socket IO. A lot of things, lot of things. That is why I'm saying anything which is part of Node.js, 101% I'm going to cover. File systems. How do you work with the file systems? How do you handle the get and post communication? How the data will be sent? Encryption and decryption. So every other part I'm going to cover in this complete server side. So one thing I want to say, you guys, everything, whatever I say, these topics are added here from the scratch to the advanced, because a lot of people have a question, could you able to finish these guy with this particular time period? And the time period for these guy is, I'm going to take minimum 75 to 80 classes. I'm not saying days, I'm saying classes. Each day is a class, because holiday comes, that is not considered. Sunday is not considered. We have 6 days a week. I mean, sorry, the class is for 6 days. Okay, till Saturday is also a class we'll be having, but on Sundays we won't be having the class. Maximum I avoid taking classes on Sunday until and unless say that we are lagging behind the course, etc. and all. I may think of that, but maximum I do avoid taking classes on Sunday. And the timing will be always from 8:30 to 10 only. There is no change in the timings, because I need to log in my office by 11 o'clock. So there is no chance that now I ask you guys to come at 8:30. Later I will change to 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. No way. It only starts at 8:30 to 10 o'clock. I know that today it was been delayed because it is demo classes, guys. For a couple of 3-4 days, I'll be starting a bit late and I'll be closing a bit early, so that everyone can account. Once we have that, okay, these are the people who want to continue this journey, then the timing will be exactly 8:30 and to 10 o'clock. Any questions in this? Anyone you feel like something missing in the course? I'm telling guys, I haven't added like in JavaScript data types, functions, control structures, object, inheritance, not polymorphism, encapsulation, etc. I'm not adding each and every step, but when I say JavaScript and advanced JavaScript, head to tail of JavaScript will be completely covered. When I say HTML, people who don't have an idea of HTML before or the CSS or even programming language, you say that, boss, this is the very first time I'm looking into the programming. If you have an idea of C language, Java, etc. and all, that's just a plus point. But here, when I'm starting, I never ask you a question that, boss, you need to know this before itself. Say, for example, I'm going with for loop. I don't say that you would have seen this for loop or if condition in your C language. I don't say that. I give the explanation from the scratch, feeling that everyone is a fresher. But if you have an experience, if you feel bored, I cannot do anything. But as I promised, I will be doing the things from the very, very scratch. Okay, offline students, you have an advantage that if you have to take some any review or feedback, whether after whatever the things I have promised, whether I'm going to cover or not, there is a 7 AM batch which has already started, which is already going. They are done with HTML and CSS, HTML4 and CSS2. We have started JavaScript also. You can take the feedback from them. I mean, whether whatever I'm saying is being covered or etc., you can talk to them. Online students, you don't have an option. You need to ask me only. And I will say good. Yeah, what is your question? Okay, for the framework you're saying? Okay, one more thing, guys. There are actually an option. I generally take this React or Angular also. I also take it, but depends. Now, for sure, this UI full stack, I'm the one who is 100 because I am starting it. I'm going to close that guy. Coming to the framework part, it depends upon the faculty availability, because a lot of people say that, do I need to really wait for 75 to 80 classes to start the framework? Not actually, because once you're done with this advanced JavaScript and ECMA 6, at that time, you can take the things parallelly. It is not, you don't need to wait complete UI part, then only you part the framework, not actually needed. If you say that, no boss, I have less time off here, I need to solve the things more faster, then after ECMA 6, you can join the parallel batch. Once you're done with this ECMA 6, I will let you know, I will remind you in the class, boss, you are ready for joining the framework also. Because a lot of people even question me that, boss, without understanding this, can I directly go with the framework? There's a very big gap, guys, because once you go into the frameworks like Angular or React, you need to understand the better HTML structure, what actually objects are, what is JavaScript, what is the concept of interacting with the server, etc. and all. And if you directly go with the frameworks, these things are not covered here. Node.js and database, those things they don't cover. They directly only cover the UI part. So that is the reason. Anyway, it's up to you guys. We're not forcing what you'd go for. But the reason, no, what I'm saying is, once I finish this ECMA 6 and all, I say, now you are ready with this. Now you can take a parallel batch. You will ask the management, boss, I'm done with this part. Let me know any framework is there or not. At that time, I may not take this batch. Okay, because as I'm already occupied with these batches, I can't go with other batch. You may be assigned with any other faculty. It's up to you. It is not mandated that even though he is not teaching well, you need to be logged in. No, if you feel something problem, management will help you to change the faculty also. It's up to you. Okay, based on the demos and all, you can decide. But if the complete batch is finished, now after this batch, if the management gives me an Angular or React, then you can come to my batch and we will continue the same. Am I clear? Did I answer your question? Yes, you're asking a question. Okay, regarding the project, thanks for reminding this. Along with this guy, we do have a real-time project. In fact, this is a mini project. I cannot say 100%. I mean, I cannot say that too much of bigger project, but you're going to do a mini project. I'm going to give you the mock-ups of the project. When I say project, lot of people expect that once the class is done, CDs will be distributed. Don't expect that. This is not an academic that you will be expecting a CD from me. Openly telling, I myself don't have any of the soft copy of the projects. Then what I'm doing for the project, I will give 101% of guidance to the project. Okay, so the guidance in the sense, what need to be done for the project, what are the designing of the mock-ups I'm going to give you. Now you got a good idea what do you mean by mock-up. that image which tells you that how the web page is going to look like. I will give you the mockups. I will give you the guidance. Even in class also, maybe till Friday you will have regular classes. Maybe on Saturdays we'll take something called as project review classes. You do the projects. You do one by one. It is not like I will done the we'll be doing the complete topics. Then you start the project. No, that is not the case. Once we are done with HTML and CSS, start working with the projects in designing the pages. Once we go with the JavaScript, start adding the dynamicness to the application. Once we go with the jQuery, start adding the DOM operations. Once we've done the Ajax, so parallelly the topics will be covered in the class. Parallelly, you are implementing the same in the projects. It is not like complete topics will be done. Then you start with the project, you'll forget everything. Isn't it? It is better that parallelly you do the things, and whenever, wherever you get a question, technically 101% I'm responsible here. Okay, I'm going to create a Telegram group for you all. In fact, today I can give my Telegram ID. If you have any questions, you can ping me out there. So this is my Telegram ID. Okay, so this is like needed, guys. Everyone, please install Telegram app if you are not working with. Obviously you're working with Telegram. Anyone, everyone? Social things you will always do, right? Okay, so get ready with the Telegram, and this is my ID. If you have any questions, ping me, because once we have this class getting started, I'm going to create a dedicated group for us. Like 8:30 batch, whatever the group we have a dedicated group, and whatever the things I need to share with you all, or anything, any communications need to be done with you guys, I'll be doing on through the Telegram only. Okay, so please make sure everybody have the Telegram app with you. Clear, everyone? Okay, so I know some questions have been coming. Good ideas are about the project. Okay, Angular and Angular J is different. Okay, that's a good question. A lot of people have this question also. What is the difference between Angular and Angular JS? Okay, there is a lot of difference, guys. I'll talk about this. I'll do one thing, guys, because it is, please share the Telegram link. I already shared it. ID. Server-side programming, single program. Can I write Java and Node.js language? It's up to you, Ganesh. Either you go with Java or Node.js. It's up to you. You say that I want to maintain multiple servers, one with Java and one with Node.js. You can always do that. Okay, but anyway, these type of things we'll be talking. HTML or HTML5, CSS, or what is the difference? HTML4 and CSS2 are the basics. HTML5 and CSS3 are the advanced. So my intention is, as I said you, if you guys don't have any idea of HTML, who all says that this is the very first time I'm going into HTML and CSS? One. Okay, most of you, that's good. Online students, who says that this is the very first time I'm working with HTML and CSS? No, everyone is professional. You came here to test me. Okay, nice. Some of you guys are there, right? Okay, so as you guys don't have an idea with HTML and CSS, if I directly talk about the HTML5 session storage, like a canvas tag, SVG tag, is it not a complex part for you? And one more thing, when I say HTML5 CSS3, doesn't mean that we left over the HTML4 and CSS2. Even though if you go to the github.com, you see the source code of this guy. Do you see something called as some div tag and img tag, etc.? Those things, those are part of HTML4 only. Then what you will learn if you only go for HTML5, how do you develop the web pages? No way. You need to have a good idea of the previous HTML4 and CSS2. Then only we'll go with HTML5 and CSS3. So initially, I will make you guys so much clear with all the basic stuff. On the top, we keep building the advanced parts. Okay. So one thing I'll do is, okay, I know I have a lot of, guys have a lot of other questions also, guys. But as it is a demo class, I'm just pausing because new people will be joining even tomorrow. I am listing out these questions. I'm not skipping out. I'm just listed out. Tomorrow, I will answer these questions. Today, I have answered my version of questions, whatever I have. These things I have asked, discussed it today. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about each and every question, whatever you have discussed. Okay, the demand of UI, what need to be done after the course, different streams, recordings, frameworks, library. I'm going to talk tomorrow. Okay, have a good day and bye for today, guys. No problem.